likes to help with learning. 1, 2, 3, they're the keys. Basic math, very easy. To Baldi's world of fun where no one leaves till educated. Every door is locked up tight. Stay inside till we're graded. The students try their best to better their education. Comprehend the material. Study hard, filling every detail. Nobody wants detention. We only want attention. Even when life is tough, oddly quarters are enough. This is how we live our life, searching for the answers inside of every page. And I'm here wondering if one day we'll finally be free from this cage. Is it okay to have a feeling that maybe there is more to this game? However, now, no time to question, so just behave. Walking across the hallways, finding notebooks, so we enter. Follow every single rule, or he'll take out his wooden ruler. For he is listening and watching everyone's progression. All mistakes have consequences, so answer right with every question. Try to add up excuses, nothing will make a difference. Baldi knows every door that we open. Following from behind, we can hear him. There is no place for playtime. Avoid them, move from every side. Better to leave him be. Follow his philosophy. This is how we live our life, searching for the answers inside of every page. And I'm here wondering if one day we'll finally be free from this cage. Is it okay to have a feeling that maybe there is more to this game? However, now, just keep behaving. Sweep through the halls to escape. We'll have some sacrifices. No room for jealousy. I've got no time to play hide and seek. 'Cause eventually he'll surely find me. Have to be brave or better keep behaving. Count till I don't know what counts. Every inch of fear is all that's ingrained. Can't understand what's the solution. The problem is a mess in my brain. I'm pushed around with all the pressure to be here when I don't wanna stay. There's gotta be some sort of exit to get away.
Olive, what are you doing?
'People have been asking me to cover the lore behind the Fundamental Paper Education series, so in this video, I'll share the information I was able to gather thus far and my theories for what's happening in this world. So as of right now, there's only one episode in this series, which is one of the main reasons people are so surprised by the fandom that has emerged from the animation. Even more so because all of the characters are OCs, or aka original characters. So the creator of this animation, whose name is Katie, has accomplished something that is just a pipe dream for many small animators. Now when this animation starts, we're introduced to the protagonist of the series, who is named Claire, or at least I think she's the protagonist, even though she bites the dust by the end of the animation. Now, in her backstory, we learn that she is technically a new student at this school, which is called the Paper School. And I don't know who she ticked off to get sent to this place, but it seems like a bit of a harsh environment for some 15-year-olds. And I know there is some confusion around the ages of a lot of the characters here, but this looks like a high school, so I think it's safe to assume that most of them are like teenagers for the most part. As you can see in the animation, she seems to be a good student who is hardworking. The first issue arises though when we see these 3 students bullying her, and those being Zip, Edward, and Oliver. And from my understanding, these 3 are like the teacher's favorite students, which may not seem like a big deal at first, because when you think about it, we all know, or maybe some of you have been teachers' pets before. And being a teacher myself, I've had students that kind of fell into that role. But this animation takes it to a whole nother level. And this is when we are truly introduced to Miss Circle. And if you are like me, you were probably not expecting her to be a murderous monster. But as she chases down a student named Abby, it became clear that she is after blood. And when she catches him, she gets just that. But she even takes it one step closer and she eats the young man after beating him to death. And this all happened because he failed a test. And I'm pretty sure this guy is only around 15 or 16 years old, which makes his death very tragic. Now, while Abby was getting chased, a character named Lana saw him and decided to follow, and actually witnessed Miss Circle devour him. Or I guess more accurately, take a bite out of him. And while we don't get to see until later in the animation, Miss Circle also takes out Lana as well. And something that a lot of people didn't notice is that Lana has 2 sock puppets on her hand, and since we know that the creator of this series is a fan of the Baldi's Basic series, I think it's safe to say that Lana's character is a reference to a character called Arts and Crafters from the Baldi series.
What the freak is that? Oh, it's the sock. Hey, what the freak?
Now, before I move on, I want to give a few facts about Miss Circle. The first being that she is 38 years old and also has the ability to change her size, although her height in the animation is 9 feet 7 inches. And for all the people that are wondering why all the kids are kind of simping for this grown, very tall woman, I would like to direct you to another big girl that the internet simped for. Does this lady look familiar to you?
You ungrateful, selfish wretch! You come into my house!
And I'm sure you all remember this scene.
This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever.
Another fact about Miss Circle is that the weapon that she uses is called a compass. If any of you are taking geometry class, you are probably familiar with this tool. And it makes sense that she would be using it considering that she is the math teacher. I also found it kind of funny that she has a set of classroom rules, but half of them are ridiculous. One even says no breathing in her class. The one piece of good news though is that she apparently loves Oreos, so if kids give her some of those, maybe that'll keep her from ripping them apart. Now, after that scene, we see Miss Circle walking with 2 other teachers. The teachers with the ABC blocks on her head is named Miss Davel, and as I'm sure you've already guessed, she is the language teacher at the school. And the teacher on the other side is named Miss Bloomy, and she is the science teacher, which is why she has that scalpel in her hand, or for her hand. And as far as we know, Miss Bloomy is around 36 years old, while Miss Davel is 35 years old. And just like Miss Circle, these teachers are also murderers, but they don't seem to have the ability to change their height like Miss Circle does. In the next scene, we see the students are in like a PE class, and they are all around the pool. And this is the first time that the school actually looks somewhat peaceful. The worst thing that happens is like the bullies are actually splashing some people. There are also a few minor characters here that pop up. The first one being Ruby, who is this humanoid figure with like a TV for a head. And funny enough, it kind of gives me like Skibbity Toilet vibes. But as far as we know about this character is that she is like a peacekeeper who just wants all the students to get along. This guy right here that has the bendy haircut is named Skell, and he is described as being kind of an introvert, which is probably why he's sitting away from the other students. I also find it interesting that the name Skell actually means to be like a tramp or homeless. So maybe this kid just isn't an introvert, but actually is just homeless and is struggling with that. Something else that I found interesting about this character particularly is that he's one of the only ones that I saw that has a tail and also has wings. So I'm curious to see if he has a bigger role in later episodes. Next, we see 2 people sitting by the pool. The first one being a rabbit girl named Petunia, and her friend is named Lizzie. And these 2 are considered to be like the popular girls at the school who come off as nice, but if you kind of tick them off, they do have a mean streak. This is also the second time that we've seen this student here named Engel, who even now seems like a nice kid, but towards the end of the animation, he really proves that he's a good person. We also see this character here who is named Bubble, and if I'm being honest, I have no idea what she is. She almost looks like she's made out of bubbles or like soap foam. And when I saw the stars in her eyes, I thought this was like the creator trying to show us that maybe she has a crush on Engel. But then when I looked at her actual character sprite, it seems like this is how she looks all the time. So maybe it's just her design. And the last character that I want to point out in the pool scene here is going to be this little guy on the boat. Apparently, this is Zip's little brother, and it's kind of cool to see that even though Zip is a bully, she seems to like her brother and even takes time to hang out with him and play with him at school. So while I still don't think that she's a good character, I suppose that she isn't a complete monster. In the next scene, we see the kids in the library, and this is where we see Claire and Engel start to become good friends. And just to point out, I don't think that these two are in love or anything like that. When I was looking at Katie's Twitter, it seems like she doesn't really like shipping of her OCs, especially Alice, but I guess that doesn't mean that shipping won't occur later. But as a fandom, we should really keep that in mind because we've seen how shipping can go from being kind of cute to just being weird. We all remember ships like Mordecai x Rigby, or if we really want to get weird, the Pinecest ship, which is basically shipping two twins. So please, let's not go down that route. Now, back in the animation, we see that the bullies recognize that Claire and Engel are getting closer, and they hate that for whatever reason. So they go get a drone that is capable of picking up people and do just that to Claire, dropping her into a hole that just happens to be in the school, I guess. And this is where the animation really starts to get interesting, because we see Zip go to the door that says Alice's room, do not enter. And when we get to peek inside, we see that Alice seems to be some kind of demon or monster with red eyes and long claws that she drags across the wall. During this scene, we also see Miss Circle say that students should not open Alice's door, and judging by how Alice looks, I think it's safe to assume that she is catching bodies if you go into her room or if you open that door in general. Now, eventually, Claire does fall back into the library, and she is making her way down the hall when she's approached by Miss Bloomy, who has her latest test results, and it's an F, of course. Which doesn't surprise me. I believe that Miss Bloomy makes her work super complicated so that kids can't understand it and that they will fail. We can see it right here on her actual board. Now, I'm not a science teacher, obviously, but this looks like some very complicated stuff for some 15-year-olds. So I think this was Miss Bloomy's excuse to actually chase Claire down, just like Miss Circle did to Abby. Now, one thing that I found interesting is that Claire does manage to lose Miss Bloom for a moment when she hides in the lockers, but she comes out almost immediately. I feel like if it was me, I would have just hid there and waited out the day, but who knows. Now, unfortunately for Claire, it seems like all three teachers came after her at the same time, basically ensuring that she would not be able to escape. But this does seem a bit fishy to me. Claire seemed like she was a really good student, and it seemed unlikely that she failed 3 classes. I feel like the teachers are just out to get her at this point, but I'll come back to this later in the video. Now, after more running and trying to avoid the teachers, Miss Bloomy does manage to actually cut Claire's leg, which causes her to trip. And right when Miss Circle is going to deal the fatal blow, Engel comes up to save the day, basically grabbing Miss Circle's weapon and giving Claire time to escape, but not without taking a bit of a beating himself. Something that I found interesting here is that Engel seems to have the same clawed hands as the teachers, making me believe that at least some of these characters are the same species. It just seems like some of them are evil and cannibalistic, while others like Engel are more kind and docile. In the next scene, we see that Claire sees a door that has an exit sign on it, but if you remember from earlier, the door actually belongs to Alice and shouldn't be opened. And I suppose since Claire is new to the school, she was unaware of Alice's door, which is why she fell for such an obvious trick. But we know the situation is bad because even the teachers looked a bit panicked by what was happening. Now, when Claire gets back into the room, she seems to think that she is safe because she starts to take a breather. And this is when we see Alice in the background looking absolutely pissed. I also noticed that she's wearing a crown or a tiara, which is interesting because in a lot of the artwork floating around and in the wiki, she is called Princess Alice, which leads me to believe that she is the one actually pulling the strings at this school, even though she's supposed to only be around 20 years old or so. This also lines up with the fact that Katie said that Alice is not a student and never was a student at Paper School, meaning that she is not like the rest of these kids here. Well, except for Oliver, who apparently is the same age as Alice and also is not a student, which means that he's just a grown man bullying a bunch of teenagers. Now, back in the animation, we see that Alice starts to attack Claire, and there really is no contest here. And as Alice is chasing Claire down, we see that she has the power to change her form, teleport, and she even has multiple tails or tendrils coming out of her body. And when she finally corners Claire, she literally rips her apart, which is kind of a surprise to me. I thought that these creatures were taking out kids so that they could eat them or at least eat parts of them, but it seemed like Alice just wanted to send a message to people to stay out of her room. And when looking at Miss Circle's victim, it seems like she also just mangled the students more than eating them whole. So maybe the whole purpose here is just to torment and rip these students apart, which just seems odd to me. In the next scene, we see Engel get back to his feet, surrounded by 2 teachers and the principal. The teacher with the black hair being named Miss Emily, who is the history teacher. The man here with the musical note on his shirt is named Mr. Demi, and he of course is the music teacher. And the woman in the middle is Miss Grace, who is the school principal. And surprisingly, all 3 of these characters are nice to their students, for the most part, and the principal actually wants to improve the school. So it seems like not every adult here actually hates their students, which explains why these 3 look so distressed when they see Claire's body. Now in this situation, I especially felt bad for Engel since he's the one that actually tried to save Claire. And if I'm being honest, I was also surprised to see Claire die here because she popped up in a few of Katie's animation. One that you guys may have actually seen is called Why Are You Blinking So Much? The video was a reference to the song called Red Flags and was also like a popular meme trend for a while. Claire also popped up in a few other animations. I know Machine Girl is one, and the other one is called Therefore You and Me. But if I remember correctly, she doesn't die in any of those other ones, so I don't have a lot of faith in the fact that Claire may be coming back or may be revived. I think she's toast for good. Now, the final part of this animation shows Zip and Oliver taking an exit sign off Alice's door, confirming that they are the ones that set up Claire. And the teachers don't seem to be happy about this, which is a big deal because the bullies are their favorite students. This means that messing with Alice is definitely taboo and possibly dangerous for students and teachers alike. My theory as of now is that Alice is obviously the leader, and as long as the students and teachers don't bother her, she'll let them do whatever they want for the most part. And some of these teachers are bad apples that are taking advantage of this fact and using their students as personal punching bags and snacks. I say this because when you look at the things that the teachers are teaching, it either seems way too hard or baby level. We see that with Miss Bloomy's crazy equations here, but then on the flip side, Miss Dabble is just teaching students how to say hello in different languages. So basically, the teachers are using students failing as a way to justify treating them poorly, when in reality, the students are failing because they have bad teachers. And I'm sure everybody here has had a teacher that was so bad that it was almost impossible to pass their class. Any teacher can make a kid fail if they explain an assignment poorly enough, or if they're just bad at their job. With that being said, let me know down in the comments who's your favorite character in the series so far, and thanks to the people who actually recommended this animation. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, so I was pleasantly surprised. Make sure to recommend more stuff like this in the future, and check out this video on the screen here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Peace, peace. Today we're going to look at every character in the Fundamental Paper Education series and rank them from most evil to least evil. And this time I'm going to start off with the characters that I feel are pure evil, meaning that there is no redeeming them, and work down to the characters that I think are actually good in the series. Now the first character that I'm going to put in the pure evil category is going to be Miss Circle, and just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to add Miss Bloomy and also Miss Thavel here as well, because I feel like these 3 moved as a pack for a lot of the animation. Now I think most of you would agree with me when I say any teacher that would hurt their students for not doing well in the class is a bad teacher, but Miss Circle takes that to the next level and will literally take her students out if they don't perform well, as we saw with Abby. Miss Bloomy and Miss Thavel are pure evil for me as well, because even though we didn't see them actually take out any students, we know that if they could have, they definitely would have. I mean, we watched them literally jump Claire. And the last point that I'll make for these teachers is that they also set up their lessons and their classroom rules to ensure that students couldn't succeed. I showed this in my last video, but I want to point out again the fact that Mrs. Bloomy's classwork looks extremely difficult, almost guaranteeing that at least some of her students are going to fail. And Miss Circle has classroom rules that say things like you cannot breathe in her class. It's obvious that these ladies are pure evil and they're just looking for a reason to be able to hurt their kids. The next 2 characters I'm going to put in the pure evil category are going to be both Alice and Oliver. Both of these characters are somewhere between the ages of 18 and 20 years old and have no reason to be at this school other than to torment students. I say this because Alice doesn't even make an appearance until someone enters her room, and she actually takes Claire out for her. And you would think that if she really didn't want people coming into her room, she would just lock her door. But I think that she actually enjoys being able to hurt people. And I know a lot of people have a theory that Oliver is there to keep Alice in check, and if this is true, he's doing a terrible job. I mean, it was him and Zip that actually put the exit sign on Alice's door, which is what ended up getting Claire taken out in the first place. And even if that wasn't the case, I find it odd that a grown man is in this school simply to bully the younger students. And while I do understand that students can technically stay in high school until they are 21, and if you don't believe me, actually look this up because it is true, I feel like any person in that situation should be on their best behavior, definitely not punking younger kids. Now, something else that I want to point out actually came from people in the comment section, and that is that Oliver and Alice may be a couple, or at the very least, Oliver has a thing for Alice. Now, I originally thought that Katie didn't want any shipping of her characters at all, but in actuality, what she said is that she doesn't want anybody else being shipped with Alice or Oliver. They're like supposed to be together. Now, this new knowledge helped explain why Oliver is probably willing to send people to Alice so that she can rip them apart. If he's in love with her and knows that she likes to murder, he's probably doing it for her. And this is another reason that I put him in this pure evil category. I think sending somebody to their death is just as bad as dealing the final blow, honestly. Now, with the pure evil characters out of the way, we're going to go ahead and talk about the people who are wicked. And I only have 2 people for this category, and that's going to be Edward and Zip. Now, if these 2 students were just regular bullies, I wouldn't place them this high on the list, but these 2 are actually trying to hurt their peers or get them taken off the map completely, especially Claire, who they actually succeeded in setting up. And I don't really care if they are kids, I think that they are more than old enough to know what they're doing. And even though Zip didn't put the exit sign on Alice's door herself, she was there when Oliver did it, but since Zip is still a kid, I'm not going to put her in the pure evil category. And even before Zip did that, the fact that Edward went and got his drone so that he could throw Claire down some random hole was also pretty wicked, I would say. Especially when you consider that Claire didn't do anything to anybody. She was literally just vibing and seemed to be like a good kid. And as I said, the only thing that is keeping these 2 out of the pure evil category is because they are still minors, and I think that they still have a chance to kind of redeem themselves. With that being said, next we're going to talk about characters that I consider to be bad, and some of you may not agree with this tier. I'm going to put all the rest of the teachers and the principal in this tier. And before you yell at me, I know that technically Miss Emily, Miss Sasha, Miss Grace, and Mr. Demi are all considered to be good characters. They're supposed to care about their students and they're trying to do their best to help them, but I honestly feel like they're not doing enough to help their students when their students are literally in peril. I mean, Miss Emily actually hears Alice chasing Claire down the hallway, and she just sits in her room looking afraid with the words, "All students are stupid," written on the board, which doesn't help her case at all. And I find it hard to believe the other teachers didn't have any idea that their students were being hurt or just taken out. I feel like they could have banded together to fight against the evil teachers and Alice. And the same applies to Miss Grace, who is the school principal. She claims that she wants to make the school a safe place for all students, but she isn't doing anything to ensure that those students are safe at her school. And I feel like as the principal, she should have some power when it comes to helping students. So I definitely wouldn't call these people wicked or pure evil. I don't think I can consider them to be good, because any people who can just stand by and watch their students be harmed aren't good people. And another thing I want to point out about Miss Grace is that a lot of people think that she's working with Alice, because in this scene here, we see that she has a piece of paper stuck on her horn with Alice's symbol on it. Now, personally, I don't know what this means, but I don't think she's actually working with Alice. She looks too terrified here to actually be her accomplice. So while I do think it's a good theory, I think it's also just a coincidence. Now, while editing this video, I realized that I talked about Alice's symbol, and some of you may not know what I'm actually referring to. So when you go to the wiki, or when you go to Katie's Twitter, you can see Alice's name has like a triangle instead of an A. So that's what I mean when I say this symbol. And when you're looking at Miss Grace, her triangle on her head actually has 2 dashes through it, which is another reason that I don't believe that they're the same thing. But if anybody knows more about the symbol, you can put it down in the comments and kind of educate us as well. Next, we're going to go over the characters that I think are good, and obviously all the students except for Zip and Edward are going to go into this category, but I'm only going to highlight a few that really stand out as being like extra good. And of course, we have to start off with Engel first and foremost. The most obvious reason being the fact that he risked his life in order to try and save Claire, because even though he looks like he's the same species as Miss Claire and the other 2 cronies, it's obvious that Miss Circle is way larger and stronger than Engel. So even though he had no hope in stopping her, he still risked his safety so that he could actually protect his friend. I don't know if any of you guys are One Punch Man fans, but it gave very much like Moomin Rider vibes. I also put Engel in the good tier because he just seems like a good kid overall. Even in the beginning when he looked angry at the bullies for messing with Claire, you can kind of tell that he had a good heart. And speaking of Claire, she's going to be the next person I'm going to put in this good category. While we don't know a whole lot about her, we do know that she is a good student and didn't bother anybody or cause any problems. She just seemed like a regular student trying to make friends, and the bullies basically ruined her life. Next, I'm going to put Abby and Lana here, and I put them together because apparently Abby had a crush on her and they both struggled in school a bit. Now, something sad about these two is that even though they weren't the smartest students, they really actually loved to learn. So if they would have been in a normal school, they probably would have made great students. And the last two people I'm going to put here are going to be Ruby and Bubble, because even though we don't know much about them, it has been stated that Ruby is a kind-hearted person that is always trying to keep the peace within her friend group. And I think since Bubbles is friends with both Claire and Engel, it's safe to assume that she's also a very good character. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with my placement or if you will move somebody, and let me know where you will move them to. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here. Subscribe today to become a member of the Orange Force, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.
Hi everyone, it's Milkshake here, 30 years old and proudly the firstborn in my big and wonderful family. Kicking off the introductions is my dad, Maxwell. He's 58 and built like a retired superhero. I still don't know if his hugs make me feel safer or slightly crushed. Either way, he's our rock. Next to my dad is my mom, Margaret, who's 52 and still slaying it. She still looks like she's in her 20s and never lets us forget it. I'm starting to think she moisturizes with magic. Next up is Maple, 25 years old. She's graceful, thoughtful, and has the calming aura of someone who's always got it together. Then there's Marley, 23. He's got music in his soul and jokes in his pockets. You never know what you're getting with him, but it's always fun. Next to Marley, we have Melody, 20 years old. She has the sharpest comebacks in the house and a heart even softer than her playlist. Then we have Marble, 18 years old, our in-house pastry chief and prankster who's a joy to be around. And finally, to wrap up the introductions, we have these two rays of chaos, Molly and Minty, 5 years old and the youngest of us all. They've got more energy than the rest of us combined, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So that's my whole family covered in this episode. Thanks for watching. Bye! Alright, you two. One on the left, one on the right. You better hold on tight, because your big sis is on the move. Honestly, I don't know how Mom does this every day. My arms are burning already. But look at you two, clinging to me like I'm your favorite jungle gym. It's kinda cute. Guess this is what it feels like to be the grown-up, huh? Feeding, carrying, chasing you around the house. It's tough, but I love it. Taking care of you both feels natural. Just don't tell Mom I said that. Or she'll really start leaving you cuties with me more often.
Welcome to our family, big guy. So, you're the one who's been looking after our big sis, huh? Gotta admit, you're cuter than I expected.
Yeah. For someone who's about our size, you sure have a thing for tall girls, don't you?
Girls, please be gentle with him.
My, oh my. Milkshake finally brought a guy home.
Yeah, I guess it seems that way.
You know, your father may not say much, but his love has always been my quiet strength. Just having him by my side makes everything feel okay.
Oh, Mom. I completely understand. My boyfriend's like that too. He's gentle in the way he cares, always looking out for me in the little things. He doesn't always say much, but his actions speak louder than words. Every time I'm with him, I feel safe, seen. I really think he might be the one I've been hoping for.
I think she's starting to like you.
You think so?
Or maybe not. Good luck winning her over, future son-in-law.